as the lights kind of go up, and then like Ollie, literally, like you look at your dress, and it's covered in blood. As there are.
Candace is holding my hand.
She's not holding your hand. There's just a smatter of blood in front of you on your dress, and like everyone like around you looks towards you and like starts screaming. And it's like, whoa, what's going on? Ah! And like everyone's just like, there's blood. And so I will say, instinctually, you guys all turn towards where the screaming is, and you guys see Ollie. What do you guys do?
Does anyone else have blood on them?
No, it's just Ollie, and there's just like that, like where Ollie is. That is where the epicenter of like all that blood is. And you guys are looking around, and you guys actually see kind of like a blood trail. There's just like a bunch of people just like kind of panicking and just kind of running around. What do you guys do?
Has anyone disappeared? I mean, we haven't really been watching.
I take a moment to gaze into the abyss. Did I do that?
Sure.
Jordan would go over and check on Ollie.
Yeah.
Like he'd
do.
Yeah, he'd just take Bree and then be like, we gotta check on Ollie.
Yeah.
And then he'd go over to Ollie and sort of push through the crowd, get over to Ollie.
I will say, you know what? I'll say at this instance, Ollie and Jordan, if you want to, you guys can both gaze into the abyss.
And Ollie has a question.
Mm-hmm.
And when I gaze into the abyss, her question is it who I think it is? And she thinks the problem, because she remembers the girls talking from earlier, she thinks it might be Zedalia.
Okay.
She wants to know who her mark is.
Okay.
Do we roll dark?
Dark.
Yeah.
Alright, that's a 12.
Dark. What's my dark?
Alright, that's a 12.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not terrible. So let's roll. Yeah, I don't think I get anything other than 6 plus 1 is a 7.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah,
You
it's
got
a 7.
7.
Got 4 and a 2, which is 6. I got 12.
Okay. And you rolled a 12, and you rolled a 7.
Yeah.
Who do we want to go first? Let us go with.
I can't hear you.
Do you have your question,
loud,
Jordan?
proud.
Yeah, I'll speak louder.
What caused where is the thing that caused this blood?
Okay. You want to know where, and Ollie wants to know who. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's what we're gonna do. So I will say, at this instance, Jordan, you go up to Ollie and you like look for like any wounds on her, and you're like, what's going on? There has to be something that I can do.
Yeah, like I check her, and because he probably knows like some first aid as like a doctor's adopted child.
And for this instance, time slows down, and your hand actually goes through her and past her, and then past the floorboards and into the ground and into the roots. You feel the roots that intertwine throughout the whole that is Rebel Ridge. You hear let's do this one. You hear silence, and you can feel the roots intertwine, and each knot of the root, you feel a blood drop, another blood drop, and it just kind of ripples out, and you feel it ripple out from behind you. You look and you see that behind, and like right now it's like kind of like pitch darkness, and all you can see is like the roots and just like the blood drops on each knot, just kind of rippling outward, making this path. And you see this path lead to a door that nobody really uses. You see that there's a basement that's in the gymnasium that's behind the bleachers, and it's smeared with blood. And so, before we get back to you, we're gonna go to Ollie.
Okay.
Ollie,
Yes.
you're trying to figure out who this thing is. You look at your shirt, and just like all these like questions like arise, and as you're looking around, you see wisps that slowly apparate in front of you and start to whirl and drift, and then you start to see Zedalia, but it's not Zedalia. You see her shift and change. You see her take on multiple forms, it looks like. You see her turn into this shady individual with like yellow eyes and like a tattooed arm. You see her eating flesh and turning into this kind of like lupine like monstrosity. And you see her just kind of smearing blood on the ground in various patterns, very similar to her drawings.
Oh, I can't hear. Sorry.
Yeah,
You
have
see-
to be really dramatic.
Okay, where did I lose you?
Pick up the mic, it's right there.
You're really
After
going off
hearing
and on the
blood,
whole time.
Okay,
I heard up to the point where you said smearing, and then it cut.
Okay, so you see, I'll just kind of reiterate. You see her take on multiple forms. You see her change into a form of a man. You see her take on her own form. You see these glowing yellow eyes shifting and changing with her form. You see her take on this lupine figure with hands drenched in blood, smearing it on the floor in patterns that are familiar to you, as you've seen her etch this into the binder papers during class. All right.
Does the do the shifts feel familiar? Or do the eyes seem familiar? Or is it alien to my nature? Like,
The eyes.
they like the nature, or is it just or is it just like too alarming and it's like I can at least
It's I will say it's too alarming because like you instinctually thought, I mean, all the storybooks say werewolf when you see a big wolf-like creature, but you saw her shifting and changing into other things.
Yeah.
You saw her changing into a man. You saw her changing into a wolf. And I will say that like it's really weird and alien, but you've gleaned something.
I know who my mark is.
Okay, so Jordan sort of zones out for that whole.
Well, now you gotta put the mic back to Tiffany. I didn't hear what you said.
Sorry, what does Jordan do?
So Jordan goes. He zones out for a second because of that vision, and then he kind of like comes back, blinks a bunch of times, and then his head just swivels over towards that basement door, and he grabs Bree and he says, "We need to go to that basement."
Okay, do I see the blood on it? Just looking at it?
You see a faint trail of blood that is like starting from where you guys are, going kind of like going there, but like a lot of people's kind of been running kind of like through it,
Freaking
but
out.
like yeah, because they've been freaking out. But given where Jordan has pointed out, it
Let's go.
Okay, so well, we will also grab Ollie.
Yeah.
And I'll-
You notice
assuming
that
Ollie's coming.
Order just rather than her usual like, yeah, she's got blood on her, but rather than looking horrified, she more just looks like
wow.
Yeah, like Jordan will take his blazer off and just put it on her so that it's covered a little bit more, and then they'll walk. I hope Mara is somewhere in between us and the basement.
I mean, should I say what I was gonna do?
Oh yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Okay, cool. I was waiting for him to end. Great. Well, I'm sure Mara sees what's going on, and
Yeah, you would see all of your friends gathered, like, near you.
yeah.
Around Bloody Ollie.
Okay, and I would probably be like, she probably would walk away without saying anything to Gabe.
Yeah.
Just be like, okay, this is some weird nonsense going on. So,
Gabe is, like, trembling, holding his punch.
Oh,
Okay, and then she just leaves him because she's great, and
Yep.
she's gonna go over to the group because honestly, she was having not a very good time because with all the dancing and music and stuff, she was just like getting like really like itchy, very cagey because all this joy, merriment, just reminds her of how empty she is inside. And now everyone's a bit miserable. She's a bit more movement. She's like, oh, okay, I can do things now.
excellent. I can function.
yes.
I'm
Here's
so glad
misery.
this happened, guys. Thank goodness. And so she's gonna walk over to them and be like, all right, now what are we doing?
Yeah, I had like a weird vision, and I think there's something in the basement. I can't explain it. I think we need to go to the basement.
Everything says we should probably not go to the basement. Is that what
I think we should go to the basement.
I'm definitely going to the basement.
Alright.
See, you guys are great that you're talking to each other. As you guys are sort of conferring and converging on this, Ollie does this thing where she sort of like weaves through as many people as she can. Once she's in the basement, and she's like,
Yeah. So,
doesn't say anything. She really just does.
Where did Ollie go?
yeah,
Let's go to the basement now.
Yeah, Ollie is just, you see her just like, as you guys are conversing, she is just locked on. And she is just like kind of like moving straight forward. And like people are kind of seemingly kind of walking around her in like pure panic. But like she's just like kind of slightly like bobbing, but her head is like on a swivel.
Axis.
Yeah, it's like on an axis.
Like a
just
chicken.
yeah, exactly. Like, whoa. Just looking like straight forward and just like unwavering and like not like blinking. Is just going towards that basement door.
One of her many unwise decisions.
So we're gonna run after her so she doesn't die.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's hope.
Jordan's tall. You just look around and be like, oh, there she is. And then, like, grab Bree and grab Mara and just sort of, like, shuffle through the crowd.
Bree's not sure what's down there because she didn't see, but she's kind of like trying to recite to herself the new hexes that she learned from her almost book that she stole.
Alright, so you guys go into the basement?
Yes.
Yeah, we get to the basement door, take a moment to just look at each other, and then be like, alright, let's do it.
Alright, you bust it open, and as you descend down the rickety stairs,
Oh, it's empty.
you hear every floorboard as it scrapes against rusted nails. Your feet lands on soft, dank floor. Cobwebs lightly hang over your heads, but oddly enough, there is a stillness in the air. You are accompanied by the musty smell of rotting wood.
Huh. Let's see.
You look down and follow the blood trail to a soft glow of candlelights. There you see Cassandra sprawled out on the floor.
What do we hold on? Say that again into the microphone. I
Cassandra's
can't
what?
hear you.
Sorry. You look down and follow the blood trail to a soft glow of candlelights. There you see Cassandra sprawled out on the floor with a pentagram drawn underneath her. And you see an individual in a black hoodie. You see a face with intense black makeup meet your gaze. As Zedalia is standing right before you, she turns and she looks at you guys and she's like, Jordan! No, you guys need to get out of here.
Okay.
Zedalia, look at me. Look at me.
Eyelash.
And she's going to cast Binding.
Okay. Roll a dark.
Yeah, while she's rolling. Oh, jeez. Jordan's just like.
Miserable. Okay, I got a 6.
Okay.
Jordan's just looking at the pentagram and then at Zedalia and then the pentagram and at Cassandra.
And you see her hands are just smeared with blood.
Z, what are you doing?
Look, She looks at her hands and it's like, I'm not the villain here. She points towards the ground, towards Cassandra. She is. She's a monster.
I mean, he can like,
Here's actually covered in blood, though. That's the question.
yeah,
I lash out.
You lash out?
Ollie
You lash out?
noted.
Yeah. Ollie has had this woman on a swivel at this point, and she's just like sort of brushes up a little bit of dirt and just lashes out at her.
Okay.
I don't know if it goes into her darkest self, but it'd be a great time to go full Fae mode at this point because she has fairy revenge in mind. Because she gave up a health for a human who's fragile, and that human happened to be not on this girl's hit list, and
Yeah.
she thinks this one is responsible.
Here, roll for volatile.
My volatile is, let's hope for good. Here's a -1 for my volatile. Hoping. Well, it is a 6 and a 2 with
Okay.
a -1.
So it's a 7.
So it's a 7.
Yeah.
So I will say that is a mixed success, and I will say, for all purposes, that you will. Let me get my stuff up. Yeah, no. So you go up, and you basically just like very lightly, like your weight barely gives way to the floor. Just swiftly, you come up and you have your hands around her throat as you're trying to like pin her down. And Ollie, what does your darkest self look like?
When she launches, the jacket that Jordan had offered her sort of comes off, and at first it seems like the sheer shawl that she is wearing is glowing, but in reality, it seems that there are lines that are up her back, especially around her scapula, and they sort of glow, and her eyes, normally a nice placid gray color with a neat little gold, they are brighter. They burn far brighter than they have before, and the tips of her fingers become green, and her fingers seem longer than they need to, like there's an extra joint. Her ears seem more elongated, and her features are sharper. And while she's still small, it's like every part that is small is sharper in edge, more honed, more knife-like, and the shadows just seem to creep around her rather than attaching to any part that the light doesn't touch. It seems that they creep and whisper all around her, and she her eyes just stare into Zedalia. And the last thing Zedalia said was the real villain is Cassandra.
Yeah.
She's taking that to be a promise, and if she is lying, that will not work out for her.
Okay. Yeah, you just kind of bear down on her as your eyes just like go like wild, and you guys see around you. The basement was already pretty dark, but like you see the candle lights are pretty much suffocated by the shadows that are surrounding you guys, as shadows grow longer and deeper, and like the flames can barely stay alit. All right. You do one harm to her. What do you guys do? I will. Mara, what do you do?
Let's see here. Well, there's the ominous feeling from the dark shadows going on. I honestly feel like Mara would react in a, for lack of a better word, a positive way to the shadows, because her natural state is just always being miserable and dark, and now the darkness on the inside is being matched by the darkness around her. So she's more like, she's kind of intrigued by what's going on. She kind of wants to know what's going to happen next. And she's getting kind of...
Darkneyland instead of Disneyland. I like
Darkneyland, yeah. So she's getting kind of interested in what's going to happen there. So she might... Right now she's just like, she sees, violence going on over there, dark shadows going on around here, and she's just like, well, to herself, this dance is a lot better than she thought it would be.
things are looking up.
Things are looking up. And maybe, I don't know, she'll turn to the shadow if she can, and just like walk toward it, try to understand what's going on, like her hands outstretched or something.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it is.
Ollie ended up interfering with Bree's hex, by the way.
I don't think the hex went off.
No, it failed.
Yeah. Basically, she was staring at at Bree, and your eyes start to darken, but like just like a swift shade, you just like kind of go between them, and then you're just like bearing down on them. And Mara, you would like inspect these shadows, and like you're kind of taken back because you're like, this isn't Ollie. This is. She's supposed to be the annoying, very peppy girl, but now she's far from it. But these shadows are familiar to you as you feel this very deep connection to when you first died. Alright, we'll go to Jordan.
Okay. He just would be in complete shock. His whole body just like freezes up as he watches tiny like Ollie just lightning whip out of like what he usually sees her as and just lunge at Zedalia. And he'll stop and it'll register, and then he'll sort of look at Cassandra who's bleeding and then be like, and he'll start to go towards her, but then he'll stop because at the end of the day, he doesn't really care about Cassandra. And then he'll go and he's gonna try to separate Ollie and Zedalia because he cares about both of them. He's like, what are you guys doing? Stop! I'm trying to kill it. What's happening?
More alarming. When you get closer, Jordan, the like that Ollie is saying is more alarming than anything that you encountered at her.
Yeah, I will say.
Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, I will say like during this exchange, you just like kind of pull them apart, and like Ollie just like kind of like stumbles, but like head is still locked on to Zedalia, and like Zedalia looks like all like panicked, and she looks towards you, and she furrows her brow a little bit out of concern, and she's like, I'm sorry. I have to go. I have to do this. And like she like
You don't have to do anything. You want to stop.
Can Bree step in?
Sure.
Okay, so clearly binding her didn't work.
Yeah, I will say while like this is like happening, you see her like kind of like shifting and changing, and it's not what you've seen like in the movies of like bones breaking, cloth tearing. It's very more kind of like you see kind of blue flames or wisps kind of lick up her form and kind of like mystically kind of elongate her limbs. Her eyes glow yellow, and her her snout starts to elongate. Bree, what do you do?
Now I'm wondering if this is gonna work.
You can try it.
Okay, so logic says I should cast binding again, but I kind of want to try Wither. But basic, like I'm gonna try to hex her with Wither, like see if I can get her before or mid shift.
Okay.
Woo, 10. Okay, so I'm going, based on one of the suggestions here, I'm going to have her period start super early and unexpected and heavy to the point that the cramps are debilitating.
Okay. So she's like,
That would do it.
okay, yeah, she's like changing, and she's like this like kind of like this lupine form, and then she like starts like holding her core. She's like, oh. And like she's like kind of like crumpled on the ground, and she's looking up, and she's looking straight up into your eyes, Jordan.
He would just like be trying to find understanding because he doesn't have enough information to like make an assessment, and he would just let's see. I think he would. Yeah. What is happening to you, Z? Why are you? Are you a werewolf? Are you sacrificing her? Why is Ollie mad at you?
And as if Ollie just shrill, like just in a weird voice that does not sound quite like her. It sounds too long. It sounds too narrow. It sounds too reedy. But when she says it, it's just like balance. And because she will not return to normal unless scales are balanced again. And Ollie wants her health back. And she, there's like a small little pouch, like in her little dress thing that she sort of ripped that and just tries to cram into Zedalia's maw. Like
Okay. Yeah. Lash out physically.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like a lash out physically.
Yeah, I think it's a lack of physically. I don't think my dark self adds anything to it. That's a 5 and 4 minus 1. Is that an 8?
That's an 8.
That is an 8.
That's an 8.
I can do math!
Okay.
Because you do roll a volatile, right? I have a minus 1.
Yeah, ball is fast.
Okay. I keep reading it. I'm like, am I misreading?
Okay, and you're trying to stab her in the throat?
I'm
she has
trying to give her a little pouch of monkhood.
She's trying to feed her wolfsbane.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll say.
There you go.
And so, just that Jordan knows, the things that he has been hearing her mutter under her breath have been, may every bone broken ache in your own. May every scratch given tear your own skin, and may every breath taken burn your lungs. And for every blood dropped, and for every ounce dropped, my force be stolen and given where it belongs.
Can that like get like recorded and then sent to a dance beat? You can give it to Mara and she'll love it.
Yeah, exactly.
Sandstorm specifically.
Okay, oof.
Let's see if it works out.
You
Driving on a fast bike, guys.
You
Put it in work and land.
you stab her in the throat.
My hand is in her, like this thing. I'm holding it in my hand.
Oh wait, are you you struck? Okay, you're struck. Yeah,
Take her
that's what I meant.
pouch in throat.
Yeah, you're like you stab her in the mouth and you're trying to shove it down and like she like starts to like gag and well yes you do one harm to her. Sorry, I have so many things.
It's a dangerous place, Ollie.
Yeah, and she like starts to gag and just like spewing out of her mouth, more blood comes forth. And like now she's like and she is dragging you with like and like herself towards the circle.
Who's she dragging?
You're all like,
Ollie and her towards the circle. Okay. Jordan will just try to pick up Ollie and like take her out of the room.
Okay.
He'll just be like, Ollie, you seem like you're in a really bad mood.
You hold on to her, by the way, she feels lighter and also bonier than you've ever really felt.
You're so sharp. Ow.
Yeah, she just, it feels oddly
She's
like
like
you're
shaking
holding branches.
So
strange and seems wrong. She feels wrong.
Yeah. She's like kind of like crawling towards the circle, and like as soon as you take her out, she looks towards you, Jordan, and she's like, I made a deal. I have to finish it.
I'm moving Ollie.
Yeah.
Okay. And
She says that as soon as you remove Ollie from her. From her, every DM's favorite description, her toothy maw.
Moldy tooth.
My tooth.
And so I guess I'm just like holding this like really spiky Ollie, and I'm just like, what are you talking about? Did you do demon stuff? Did you do bad witch stuff? Bree, what's happening?
And she's like, please just let me finish this.
You're finishing because Andrew's gonna die? Are people gonna die? Are you gonna die?
Bree's gonna run gonna try to bind her again.
Okay.
Okay, so this goes. 8.
Mara wants to eat the shadow.
Okay.
He's hungry.
So it gets
I don't know what. Are we doing the turn system, or do we just interject when we want to do stuff?
How about we'll go with Bree and then we'll go to you.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try interjecting more. I'm wondering, like, when do I get to act?
So it works. I don't know. Okay.
Okay, but it's a mixed success, I believe.
Yeah. So you need to pick one of the things.
All right, let me see. What are the things?
I can choose have it deal me 1 harm, have it have weird side effects, or trigger my darkest self.
Does he pick it or do you pick it?
I pick it. Oh, so I'm trying to make that decision. I take forever to make decisions.
I mean, you can let me decide if you want.
Okay, you can decide.
Okay. I just want to look at witchy stuff. Witchy. Right. Witchy. Okay, I will say Bree, what does your darkest self look like?
I'd say her eyes go solid white and look more like sunken in. I don't know why I have this idea in my head that it always looks like there's wind blowing in her hair.
Yeah, like your hair is slowly rising.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Full storm mode.
Yeah, full storm mode.
Jordan just looks at her go nuclear, and he's like, oh no.
Another one.
No. It's just like,
God,
all these are so pokey. Mara, why are you looking at the floor?
Yeah. Jordan, for once, the one that has all of the sense.
All the senses. Completely opposite of the last game. Or last session. Okay. Yeah, so these hexes just kind of roll around her form as these I'm just I have D&D on the mind, but it's fine. All of these kind of glyphs kind of wrap around her form as her body starts to tense, and she can barely move, and she's reaching out towards Cassandra. Mara, what do you do?
Mara stops paying attention to all the fun stuff happening around her.
Rightfully so.
Because this is these shadows here that she has a kinship with. She's just she's drawn to it, and apparently she recognizes it. So I kind of, because the way that I imagine Mara is if there's ever joy and happiness, she'll just soak it up like a dementor. It's really done to the inside. And I figure, how are these shadows feeling? Are they feeling good?
Are these shadows feeling good?
Yeah, the shadows happy.
these these shadows are familiar to you, as it gives you the same cold feeling as your death.
Right. Okay.
So if you want, and yeah, I will say,
Maybe I could. Maybe she'll try to talk to them. You're like, what happened? She'll actually try to talk to the shadow. Does it count as staring into the abyss if I just look right in the shadow's eyes? And I ask what happened and who they are?
Stare
sure,
into this.
sure.
Let's do some dice rolls, man. All right.
Valentine.
Flat. Okay. I rolled and 11.
Okay, what are you trying to find out?
I'm trying to figure out because these persons familiar. Well, it feels like my death, right? It's not actually someone I know.
The shadows just feel cold and familiar to your death.
Okay then. So instead of asking, I'll ask her, what are you doing? What is your goal? And she's kind of like reaching out to it, like maybe she's trying to touch it a little bit so I can like feel it.
All right, you're asking the shadows.
Yeah, I'm asking the shadow. It looks like you this. You know, like what are you doing? What's the goal here? So she can figure out if she agrees with it or not.
Okay. So, you reach out. Do I want to wait for Tiffy to come back?
Take a look then.
Do you mind waiting for her?
Yeah, I don't mind.
All right. I just don't want to like go off and narrating stuff and then like she's not even here.
She's like,
Alright, we party now, or we never party. Okay.
Yeah.
We're good.
I gotta say though, just as an aside, I imagined different things happening during this time. So I had like an arbitrary like plan ahead of what I would do. And now I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm like, all right, let's just we'll go and high five shadow. Let's do it.
Mingle. That's it. Oh, it's gonna.
It's okay. There's a lot of stuff happening.
Yeah, there is a lot
Going on.
This is getting very messy. But
love
I'm
it.
all about it.
The feralness that we enjoy.
I don't know exactly how this will resolve with Ollie because the stipulation that has me worried is to escape, you must in some way rebalance the scales of justice. And I'm like,
How do I rebalance?
how to balance? Either take help or cure. Kill her.
It's one of the easiest things to do. Murder, murder, murder.
I was waiting for you to come back.
I also like this idea that as Jordan is like trying to get a hold of Ollie, it's like you're holding her under a tiny little waist, like the little lights that are like the lines that were up and down her back, they are sort of like web thin, and you realize at some point as they're fluttering and slapping against you, wings, glimmering light like wings, and they feel like you're being slapped by a lot of leaves.
Ah, gosh, why? What? Ollie, what?
Really dragging.
Ollie's singing. Buzzing around.
can I find Ollie too?
Okay.
For good
So,
You guys are fine.
Ollie,
with
do you
that,
have wings? Do you have wings? Does Ollie have wings?
okay, so I will say, so Mara,
Yeah.
what were you asking the shadows as you gave?
I was asking the shadows like what their goal was, what they are doing, so Mara can figure out if what should stop them or if she should
Roll
help
it.
them.
Okay,
Like
so
she's like, is this for me? Should I do this?
you stare into the shadows, and like you start to just like kind of like you start to glaze over. And you ask these questions, and they just kind of echo in your head. And you see these shadows start to flicker, and like they start to actually look like people. You start to see legs and arms as these shadows flicker off the ground, and like you feel like this deep pain within your stomach as you like gaze further and further, and you're like, who are you? What do you want? And they're saying, we are the court. We are seeing a deal through, and making sure she finishes her transformation. As you see visions of Zedalia shifting into other people, and then the last person you see her shift into is Cassandra.
Okay. That's fun. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Do I know? Like, do I recognize anyone else that she shifted into, or do I just see Cassandra that she shifted into in the end?
There is one pair of eyes you could have sworn you saw stalking you guys while you guys were walking.
Right. Okay. How do I do that?
$1,000,000 question. What should I do?
I think Mara's whole shtick is that she runs away from her problems, but I don't think she can really run from anything here.
Yeah, how?
I mean, it sounds like it's something that's out of her hands, so she's just kind of still reveling in this dark energy. I mean, like,
Yeah. I mean, if you want, you can try to shut down Zedalia, or you could use, I mean, just look at your sheet.
she kind of wants to. That's not a good choice. Hold on, let me see what else I can do.
Everything's a good choice. It just depends if we succeed or not.
True. Okay, that's very, very true. Okay. So then. So we have Jordan and Ollie are over there, and Zalia's over here. Yeah, let's go up to let's have Mara go up to Zedalia, like put a hand on her shoulder, and just kind of like. At this point, since Mara was looking into the abyss, she looks like very hollow and like dark and like, you know, darker than usual there.
Yeah.
And she just like put her head on her shoulder, like kind of like hold her really tight, but she's not harming her. She's just kind of like,
Strong grip.
what did you get into? She'll ask her in a forceful voice.
She looks towards you. So I made a deal to become what I am. And now I can, and she looks towards Cassandra. Now I can become her. And stop her from bullying people like me.
Alright, Mara vibes with it. She's like, alright, let's do this, I guess.
Mara vibes with it. Alright, cool. Let's murder this.
Alright, carry on. Not helpful, oh gosh.
Alright, who are we gonna go to?
Bree.
Okay.
I think Ollie's been picked up in like a sack of branches, so.
Oh, true.
Hi, this is Tiffany, your DM. Thank you for watching Dungeon Damsels. This is not the end of the session, so please stay tuned for the next part. We update on Tuesdays and Saturdays at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you're interested in supporting us more, please push the subscribe button, like, or comment. We also have a Patreon, wink wink nudge nudge, And our show is in podcast form. You can find us on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Podbean, Spotify, and plenty of other podcast platforms. Thanks. We hope to hear from you soon.